just going to read a statement. This meeting is being recorded by the Board of Health. If any other person present are recording the meeting, we need to be notified of that at this time. Okay. So call the meeting to order. 28.
Yes, 32.
That's 6:32. Roll call. Ellis Taylor, Darius Greenbacher, Chairman.
And I
don't see
he
it.
is, unless I can. Nope, I don't see our new board member.
Is it Tomas?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mouse.
All right, and so then motion to accept the minutes.
Yes, that would be great.
Second. Vote. Yeah, passes. All right.
Okay. Okay, and then we can make a motion to open the hearing.
Public comment.
Oh, we're doing public.
Well, did anyone sign up for public comment?
All right, so
Okay,
at this time, we'll take public comment. We're going to limit the time for each person to 2 minutes. No one may speak without being recognized by myself, the chair. Evidence may consist of, we're doing open?
oh, no, not this. We're
Okay.
just doing regular public comment for
Okay,
the general.
okay, gotcha.
The general Board of Health meeting.
All right,
Mhm.
so general comment.
You can either raise your hand or. So,
And hearing none?
All right,
All right.
so a motion to close public comment. Second. All right, vote. Okay, passes. All right. And so now,
Now we can make a motion to open the hearing.
all right, so motion to open it in,
The first one will be the food permit at
Or-
Greenfield Gardens.
Garden Cinema.
all right,
So I'll give you, I'll do a background and then you can have a response from Mr. Matt.
so I'm just gonna make a motion to open the.
Yeah.
Yeah, second. All right, vote. Yep. Passes. All right.
Okay, so in January 2025, renewal packets were sent out for the renewals of food establishments. During this renewal process, I made the decision to keep part of the food code that was only recently taken out by the state in the last couple of years. The health department is allowed to have a requirement, be stricter than the state food code, but they cannot be less restrictive. During this time period, the city did not possess a board of health, so the decision to have this requirement fell to me to make as to protect the public health. I was well within my job duties as the health director to add this requirement to the renewal process. The department does not just stop functioning due to the lack of volunteers for a board of health. The part I decided to keep was that the retail food establishments that deal with time and temperature controlled foods such as milk, eggs, dairy, ice, and cheeses would need to have a food safety certificate. The state required a manager level certificate before, but to make it easier for the retail stores to gain a certificate, I gave them the option of doing the manager level course, which is good for 5 years, or they could do what we call a food handlers course, which is good for 3 years. The Garden Cinemas to this date has not completed the food safety course. I ask that you make that a requirement for them to complete. The second part of this, food establishments with over 25 seats are also required to have somebody certified in a choke safe course. Garden Cinemas says that because it is a cinema that this is not required to have that certificate because it only applies to restaurants. We have obtained a legal opinion from our town attorney. And a restaurant falls under a food establishment and the cinema runs a food establishment, so they would fall under this requirement. I ask that you require Garden Cinemas to have a choke safe certificate. Food establishments are also required to have an allergen awareness certificate. This is to be familiar with allergies. There can be dairy and non-dairy used in butter for popcorn. Also, different cheeses can be used on nachos. Having this certificate just ensures people can be familiar with allergies and help customers navigate the food that is being sold to them. I also request that you require Garden Cinemas to obtain an allergen certificate. Mr. Masters stated that these were never requirements before, but they actually were. Only in recent years was this requirement dropped by the state, which is why I believe it was the wrong choice. So it's within my authority as the health director to reinstate the food safety certificate as a requirement for a retail food permit in Greenfield. Most establishments have complied with this requirement. I only have about 5 or so that are outstanding, but I am working with them to complete this requirement. So I'm just asking that they get the either food safety serve safe manager course or a food handler, an allergen awareness certificate, and a choke safe.
Are there costs associated with these certificates?
Yeah, so the food handler is about $15. Food manager is about 120, I think. The allergen is only about $10. It's like a 10-minute course on just normal allergy stuff. I'm not sure of a price for a choke safe certificate.
I am not quite sure. I can look it up.
I did look recently today, and I believe Cooley Dickinson has it. They have 3 coming up the next few months, and they're like 40 or 45.
Okay.
Okay.
So very basic ballpark would be about maybe $50, $60 for all of them.
All right. And are there other businesses? And okay,
1995.
So I'm requiring any business that deals with time or temperature controlled food. So if you literally just serve prepackaged retail food that is not, it's commercially packaged
right.
and it doesn't need time or temperature to control it. So so soda in a bottle,
Right.
candy in a bag.
And so Greenfield Cinema, the only thing that is temperature controlled is
Is nacho cheese, they make the popcorn and they have ice for the fountain drinks.
the nacho cheese is already in the container.
But you have to, they heat it, so it's temperature controlled from the heat, because you have to heat it to a certain temperature. So you're supposed to, because if you're holding it, it's supposed to be held at a certain temperature.
Shelf stable.
Shelf stable until you heat it. Either way, the ice and the popcorn would still qualify under food establishment.
Now you can ask for comments from Mr. Mazza.
Comments?
Thank you. I've owned the Greenfield Garden Summit since since 2019. This has never been a requirement. To my knowledge, it was not a requirement prior. The business has been in operation since 1929. We serve 99% of what we serve is prepackaged food, primarily candy. We sell bottled soda, bottled Gatorade, bottled water. We do have fountain soda. I put tens of thousands of dollars into buying an automated ice system, which we don't control. There's no time temperature control by my staff. It is a completely automated, self-contained ice system. We couldn't do anything if we wanted to, and it's maintained by Leader. Leader has all of the qualifications necessary to maintain that equipment and make sure that it continues to be safe. So popcorn and nachos are not required to be temperature controlled in any way. They are chips and popcorn. You can heat them or not heat them. There's no difference whether you heat them or not heat them. What is left is the nacho containers, which we can do anything that you would like us to do. We do currently keep them in the nacho, some of them in the nacho warmer so that they're just slightly less than congealed, but they are not time managed because they're not opened. Once they're open, they need to be time managed. You need to keep them at that consistent heat for 4 hours. But because they are self-contained and there's no air in them, they don't need to be time managed. If necessary, we could not put them in the warmer and heat them up in a microwave. Take us about 30 seconds to do it. Much more likely that they would be too hot and would create a burn hazard for our customers. Also, while I don't do it because it creates a mess, Rico's makes a self-service cheese dispenser, which heats it there. It's nacho cheese in a bag. They're used at almost every movie theater in the state. You put the bag into the machine. It is not removed or temperature controlled. Nothing happens to that nacho cheese until it's dispensed. Not dissimilar to a ketchup dispenser or a mustard dispenser. We specifically avoid serving any food that we need this kind of safe serve training for, because I honestly have employees who are very young and we don't trust them to do that. We don't use any glass for example, in the theater, it's all plastic or paper. We'll do what we need to avoid that, and that includes not selling nachos. If that's what the Board of Health wants us to do, is not selling nachos. But my bigger problem with this whole process is there is nowhere I can go in the town to see that this regulation exists, that I have to meet this requirement. This requirement was foisted upon us, in my view, arbitrarily and capriciously by the health director at the time of renewal without approval from a Board of Health, without any public process or opportunity to comment or put input into the process for consideration of mitigating circumstances, and without consideration of what we have to do. Regarding choke saver, the choke saver statute applies to restaurants. I haven't seen Attorney Quinn, who is an excellent attorney. I've worked with Attorney Quinn before. His opinion, that has not been provided to me, and I'm surprised that it wasn't provided to me, given they knew this would be coming forward. But what I can tell you is the statute, even the statute that is designed for restaurants, it gives an option. The regulation, which I don't know if you saw the news today, Maura Healey is literally shredding thousands of regulations. But the regulation that's in place is based on the statute. The statute is for restaurants. Many movie theaters are restaurants, but we are not a restaurant. The statute gives you the option of, first of all, it says that you have to have someone on every shift who's choke saver certified if you're a restaurant, not just one person for the whole business, which for my business, that would literally mean I'd have to have every employee choke saver certified. But it also gives you the option of a health department approved device for the removal of objects that are in the throat. And I have asked for what that device is, because that would be the most efficient way for me to meet that requirement, to buy it once and not have to worry about it again. So that hasn't been provided to me. But what's the bigger issue is that it is a nonsensical regulation for the purpose of my establishment. Restaurants have servers who wait on them and are going back and forth and checking on them. My establishment is one where no one consumes food in the presence of an employee. No employee, whether choke saver certified or not, could render any aid to any person who is choking, because they would not know about it. They would be they consume their food in the movie theater, in the theater itself, while they are watching the movie, and we don't monitor the movie while it's playing. So it's basically a regulation for the point of checking a box, not creating any safety for the public. Allergen awareness, we do not use butter. We use buttery toppings specifically to avoid lactose intolerant, specifically to avoid allergens. We do have nacho cheese, and that does have a lactose risk. I don't think that there is a super high risk of someone who is lactose intolerant ordering nachos with cheese. By the way, the cheese is separate from the nachos. We don't put the cheese on the nachos, so you'd have to do it yourself. And the cheese, because we don't serve it in the automated display, we choose to use the cup rather than the self-service container. The nutritional facts are labeled on the cup, including where it says cheese cup. It is very clear to every single person who purchases nacho cheese that if they have a lactose intolerance, that they should be careful of this particular product. No amount of employee training is going to improve that. I don't have a single employee who, when someone orders a nachos with cheese, is going to ask if they have a lactose intolerance. It's not going to happen. These regulations are good. These requirements are going to produce no added benefit to the public. It's a nominal added cost to us. It's not about the cost. The time is significant. It takes 8 hours to take the food safety manager's course. And each of those other courses takes about an hour to take. So there is some time associated with it, but it's mostly A, process, and B, that it provides no benefit to the public. And for those reasons, we would ask you to waive this. And if it's something that's going to be in place going forward, we'd like to know what we need to remove to avoid the need for this license, because that's what we'll do rather than getting the licenses. That's all I have, unless you have questions.
Yeah, you can have a question.
Wait, so, are any of the other theaters in the area
Yeah, I had a theater in Agawam required it, theater in West Springfield requires it.
in Hampshire Mall?
I'm not sure they,
All of those theaters serve hot dogs.
but they also serve ice, and that's, I mean.
Yes, but hot dogs are clearly temperature controlled and is required, you're required to have an establishment.
And the deal is there's food there that falls under it. Whether you want to waive just because the ice or just because making of popcorn is making food, that's, I mean, that's on you. I'm just saying that I'm doing the same thing with the bars. They serve cut fruit, they serve ice that falls under food, under the FDA code. It's required to have a food establishment license.
And so, but outside of Greenfield right now, that like the state isn't requiring.
So the state is giving you the option, so you can either require it, like I said, there was a requirement before that any retail food establishment had to have a manager's certificate. That was a requirement before. Why they didn't have it here before when he owned it, I can't speak to that. I wasn't here. They also didn't license bars, which is now an issue that I'm dealing with as well. So-
I think, so part of this regulation, one of the most important things, and I'm not saying specifically for the
Right.
movie theater, but
Right.
in general, we just had one of the towns in our collaborative that it was a convenience store that was selling milk, and somebody was driving the milk to the store, not in a refrigerated thing.
Right.
Somebody buys the milk, it's congealed, they go to get their money back, get a new one, still congealed,
Right.
because they didn't follow the time temperature.
Right.
So I think it is very, very important for convenience stores and
Sure, that makes sense.
and also our ice machines, when we go in and do the inspection, one of the things that we learn in the training hub is you take your flashlight, you put your camera on and you look behind. So these are the ones that I've done are the ones where it lifts up
Right.
and you like scoop it out. And
Right.
when we do this, most of our restaurants, I would say most,
Yeah.
we have to give them cleaning instructions because they're covered in
There's
mold.
also backflow. They're supposed to have backflow devices on them in case there's work going out front and they get backflow from this water line into the system. I mean, it's great. There's a company taking care of the ice. I appreciate that, but it's the essence of having the ice.
It's not an ice machine that you scoop. It's an overhead ice machine that drops like you would see at a McDonald's.
So like in this one, like in this situation where, you know, there's no scooping. It's just.
How does it get cleaned? Or how do you know that?
I mean, if it's on a
I mean,
regular
if it's-
heating cycle and they can verify that it has all the backflow prevention, you know, I'm okay with that. I'm just saying the essence of having the ice there makes it fall under this.
Right, right.
Whether you want to give it a little variance because they have a company coming and cleaning it, that's totally the discretion up to you guys.
And then with the temperature control, like since that's self-contained.
Yeah, I mean, but I will say that even if it's shelf stable, heating something up all the time and letting it cool and then heating it up again.
We don't let it cool. We never take it out of the
If they
warmer.
heat it up in the warmer and then it gets tossed after, 4 hours, then that's fine. But if it gets put back on the shelf, that creates a danger
Even a self-contained thing, if you.
because you're heating it.
So our policy is that we don't put it back on the shelf. It stays in the unit, It stays more than 4 hours. Because we have not once
I
had,
do the same thing with pizza. So pizza slices get put out, they have a 4 hour shelf limit on the thing. You
But
can't
they're not-
take the slice, put it back in the fridge.
But they're not sealed, they're not sterilized before, pizzas are. And so this.
But it's cheese that's sitting out for 4 hours.
But this is still a sterile container, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and it's never opened even if it's heated, so there shouldn't be any bacteria.
This is-
Right?
Yeah,
I mean, I haven't seen it personally.
this is good until December 2025. So I mean, like the pizza wouldn't last like that.
Right, and.
No, I'm just saying the act of heating it.
Yeah.
Right, but at the same time, it doesn't say anything about, I mean, if it's a sterilized container and you should be able to put in any temperature, it doesn't have any temperature
limitations.
any range of temperatures that it's stable at. So it's just, it should be stable at essentially any temperature. And since until the seal is violated, and then there's
Then they're thrown
a
away.
time that,
In fact, we don't even open them. Our customers open them.
right. All right, so and can you give us documentation, or can you provide documentation for the maintenance of the ice machine?
Sure. I mean, I can give you our contract with Leader.
And
They service the soda machine and the ice machines, which are on top of them.
would that
I
be
mean-
sufficient to?
I mean, I'm okay as long as I know it's getting taken care of correctly.
And what kind of frequency would be good frequency?
I mean, an ice machine should be cleaned at least every couple of weeks at the most.
And so what?
It doesn't get cleaned in that way. There's no way to have them come in and open it and clean it it's
Yeah, so what?
It's not
I mean,
right.
what's the cleaning cycle now then? I mean, I guess.
whenever they come in to do ordinary service, that's when they service them.
And otherwise, there's no one touching the inside of the machine.
That's
It's
correct.
all self-contained,
It's
other than,
100% self-contained. If there's a contaminant in the ice, it's because there's a contaminant in the city water.
right, so there's no way to get into it. The employees, no one's touching the insides.
It's impossible.
I mean, to speak to the choke safe though, I mean, there might not be people standing in a movie theater, but I could say if I was choking, the first thing I would do is get up and run out of the movie
Right.
theater. So I don't see
And-
how
and-
that hurts having somebody on site that
And-
can prevent that.
And the device is that.
I haven't been able to find what device you're speaking of.
Because that makes sense to me, because if you have, I mean, again, the employees are young there, they're teenagers, young adults, and like it would make scheduling hard to have.
I mean, I would be fine if there is a device there, but I would, I'd require something to be there.
The obligation is under the statute is on the health department to tell me which device is appropriate.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we can do some research. I just haven't been able to find anything yet that the
So-
state says definitely that you can use this.
So-
That's what I'm trying to.
As a temporary measure, I can tell you that I have taken the choke saver and the allergen. Well, so your requirements aren't met on a temporary basis while you're figuring that out.
Okay.
But certainly for renewal,
Right.
our preference would be to either have it waived or the device be told to us what we need to purchase.
Right. No, thoughts?
So in terms of the ice, I mean, that would really be key if you have a company coming in, maintaining it, cleaning it, servicing it. As long as we know that it's a good contract, there's a schedule that's appropriate to be within regulations. That should be fine.
By the way, the food server training doesn't teach you how to clean an ice machine. In fact, the only thing it teaches you related to ice is not using glass, which we do not use. That may be an issue for a bar, but is not an issue for a restaurant.
It teaches about the backflow devices as well.
Yeah, it does teach about backflow devices. That's correct. But again, none of my employees are plumbers. That's a plumbing issue. That's not.
Which you never know.
Certainly get you certified letters from my plumber telling you, which is Nolan Plumbing, telling you that all of our devices have all of our plumbing has backflow devices.
I mean, it's fine. I'm just saying, these fall under the regulations.
Right.
Oh, no, I totally get that. But I do see,
I mean, there's, like I said, he only does about 3 things that kind of fall in the little area that I have concern about.
Right.
I don't feel that having the food handler or the choke safe are detrimental.
Right.
To the public's health.
No, maybe it'd be good. At the same time, I think that your point is well taken about, having someone on each shift that is certified, which means not just one person going and getting certified,
Yeah.
but like multiple, which again, the cost starts increasing. And again, for kids that are kind of transient, even though the staff is overjoyed.
I will tell you, my biggest concern is having these certifications. You're supposed to post them. And I think there's a false expectation of the public of how safe they're going to be from these certifications, because these certifications don't provide the level of protection that they,
Which
that they
is,
propose to
which
make.
is kind of a whole different.
Well,
I see choke.
but
I hear you.
Are-
I hear you.
When the Board of Health came in and for the first time asked us to put in, and this was before Mike asked us to put in, please tell us if you have any allergies.
Okay.
I kind of laughed at that because people are ordering candy, which has nuts in it. You might have
Right.
an allergy to nuts, but it's no different than Target.
Right.
We put them up. Actually, we made our own
Yeah.
ones up, that were movie related, so people might actually look at them rather than the ones that the town created. But that's something we can do. We can tell people if there are nuts in candy if they ask. But my staff is not going to be able to, they are not going to think if you're lactose intolerant when you're getting cheese. And no one's going to ask that either.
Right.
You know, is there cheese in the cheese? That they're never going to ask that.
Right.
Or milk in the cheese.
Right.
I mean, I will say I did have someone go in and ask about the butter and the popcorn. That's why I
People-
came up to.
Pe-
So they
people
did
do
say
ask-
that, listen, it
People
didn't
do
have-
ask us about butter. We don't use butter. We specifically don't use butter. We use buttery topping.
Yeah.
And when people do ask us about that, we show them. And as far as allergen awareness, we also have had people who have asked about the seasoning that we use. We bring out the container to them and show them it. There's a red dye in it, which you can be allergic to. But we specifically don't use buttery topping. We specifically don't use peanut oil. We avoid anything that can be
Yeah.
a major allergen.
All right, so then so we don't have to worry about the cheese, correct? Because it's
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see it. Did you see it?
right.
Oh, yeah.
And so, and the ice, it sounds like if we just have documentation that there's
Yeah.
regular,
I mean, I'm fine with that as long as I have documentation that it's getting cleaned on a
and then
recurring daily
And then-
basis.
I think it would be good for us to figure out, I think it'd be nice to have a choke device if at all possible. And, you know.
Yeah, if you let us know, we will purchase it. A one-time purchase is not a big deal to me. I'm happy to have it on site. If it can be used to help someone, we're happy to have it.
Right, and then kind of like an AD, and then. So
I think
Thoughts?
it's really important, to just, if whatever decision you're gonna
Right.
make, that you just make sure that it's specific for the movie theater. Convenience
Yeah.
stores should definitely not be looped
No.
in this with eggs and milk.
Oh, no.
So whatever
I think that-
you want.
I mean, hearing the products they have, I mean, if everything's like shelf stable.
Yeah,
You know,
Well, the deal with the bars too is I'm kind of doing just the food handler. It's the
Right.
basic
Yeah.
food course, just because they're dealing with ice, fruits,
Right.
things like that.
I mean, I think that, again, if people are scooping their own ice, different matter. If that was.
They fill their own ice bins and they
Right.
have to take care of a service area
Right,
kind of.
that
where
makes
they're
a ton of
preparing
sense.
Drinks and
Right,
stuff.
and so I think that.
where all you're doing is, somebody spills some soda, you clean up, like spot cleaning type stuff.
That's correct. There's cleaning that
Yeah, I mean,
goes on. And I will tell you that there is, I mean, we do, to be fair, we do have people who have vomiting incidents and those get cleaned immediately, but that is not related necessarily to the food we serve. That's related, I mean, that could be, they vomit for any number of reasons.
So in a situation like this, we can,
so what you would do is,
Like,
just
maybe cut
make
it
a
to your
motion
path?
to close the hearing and then you can,
I'll leave it for you guys.
Okay.
all right, so I'll make a motion to close it here.
Second.
So, close it, very close. And so we can,
you can talk about it more, or you can vote on it now, or you can wait until the Board of Health meeting, like the regular meeting part. But maybe you want to do it now just so
Yeah.
that,
Yeah, I mean,
So
I
now
think
that can
we
go.
might as well get it over with.
Yeah.
I would think just make sure that we have that information about the company, that documentation. The joke saver, I do understand the idea, like, yeah, it would be great to have somebody up there, but they're not gonna know somebody's choking unless somebody from the theater runs out and grabs them. So it'd be nice if there is a device, just,
so we'll research it if there's a device out
Yeah.
there. And if there's a device out there, you're okay with getting it? Okay, so, reasonable cost. And then, And then
The
document, yeah, so then we want
So forgo-
documentation.
I mean, he's got the allergen and the choke safe now, so I'm fine with that. The food handler, I mean, if you guys want to forgo that, that's fine. I mean, he does very minimal food
Right.
handling. I'm
Yeah.
just trying to keep things
Right.
level.
Yeah.
And it sounds like he's really trying to cater to make sure that it can run
I mean, honestly, if they
easily
didn't have
without
ice,
allergens.
they didn't have ice and it was really just kind of popcorn, I'd almost be like, you don't even need a permit with us.
Right.
Because everything else is just shelf stable,
Right.
commercially packaged food.
I think, yeah, and I think in
Yeah.
a situation without people scooping with it, I think I would be okay.
Yeah, it's all like automated.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
if it's automated, like they say, and I can see that and everything, and they have the company can swear they come, they clean it, it's got the backflow devices, then I'm okay with that.
Okay.
You know, because some of them have old fountain machines with bins.
I think that's good.
And
Right.
people don't clean them and look up in there and.
I got rid of all that stuff. when I-
Yeah, well, that's what I mean, and it does, ice is amazingly dirty.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so, but I make a motion that, that
To forgo this
Right.
serve safe.
just,
So.
okay, so
you
forgo serve
you go
safe,
Forgo the serve or the.
forgo the choke training, but will require
The device.
the device once we supply you with the
The
information.
information. Yeah.
And then,
And forgo allergen in the future, or is that one staying?
and so
Foregone.
There's not a lot.
I mean,
I'm okay.
knowing that they're not using any kind of peanut oil, stuff
Right.
like that.
I'm okay with foregoing.
Okay, so Dr. Greenbacher makes a motion to forgo the serve safe, the allergy awareness, and get a device if possible
Yeah.
for choke saver.
Specifically.
Well,
Yeah.
we'll get one specific.
Yeah.
We'll get one,
specifically for
okay,
Greenfield Cell.
perfect.
I just want.
Oh, yes,
It
and
does
specifically
not-
for,
Does not include any other businesses
perfect.
or any of the other business types.
Yeah.
Your second.
Second
All right, let's vote.
here.
Okay, motion passes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, now we can close this hearing and vote to close this hearing.
Motion to close hearing.
Second,
All right, vote. Motion passes.
And where you can vote to open the tobacco violation hearing on Green Mart.
And,
Green Mart?
okay, so move to open the hearing.
second,
Second question, vote. Yep. Motion passes. All right.
Okay, so then in this one, I think we have to read off of, there will be a 2-minute public comment and then just read the section here.
All right, so there'll be public comment and each speaker will be limited to 2 minutes. But we're not just, that's not 2 minutes. Only the comments, right?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to read a couple ground rules. So no person may speak without being recognized by myself. Evidence may consist of oral testimony, documents, photographs, videos, models, and other means of conveying information. Only evidence relevant to the issue before the board will be accepted. Irrelevant, immaterial, and information based on speculation and emotion are not appropriate evidence upon which to base decisions. The rules of evidence that apply in court do not apply in public hearings of local boards, committees, or commissions. As such, hearsay and other evidence that would not be permitted in a court may be heard by the board, committee, and commission and accorded such weight as each member deems appropriate.
Okay. And then we can ask the Tobacco Coalition to share their side first and explain what happened on the day of January 10th, I believe it was. January 10th.
Hi, good evening. So I'll just provide my testimony. I'm Ryan Paxton. I was the tobacco compliance officer for this check. I work for the Pioneer Valley Tobacco Coalition, also known as PVTC. PVTC is a regional coalition funded by the Massachusetts Department of Public Health with a mission to reduce youth access to and exposure to tobacco and nicotine products through policy development, compliance efforts, and enforcement initiatives. Our coalition represents 31 communities across Hampshire, Hampden, and Franklin counties, including Greenfield. We work closely with all 350 permitted tobacco retailers in our communities, maintaining a strong presence to provide ongoing merchant education. This includes educating retailers on state and local tobacco laws and regulations, offering culturally appropriate educational materials, and conducting compliance checks to ensure adherence to these laws. In addition to our merchant education, PVTC conducts a minimum of 2 youth compliance checks per store annually. These client compliance checks are critical in identifying and addressing any potential violations of tobacco laws. They serve as protective measure to ensure retailers remain vigilant in refusing sales to minors and help reinforce the importance of their role in protecting youth from the harms of tobacco use. By consistently evaluating compliance, we create accountability while reinforcing education efforts, which ultimately reduces the accessibility of tobacco products to minors. Regarding our youth compliance checks, we follow a rigorous standard of practice to ensure integrity of safety. All youth officers are thoroughly trained before conducting compliance checks, and if they are under 18, they must have parental consent. Prior to a compliance check, the youth officers remove all personal items from their pockets, which are secured in a tobacco compliance officer's vehicle, and they then enter the store with only cash provided by the TCO and their cell phone, which is retained solely for emergency use or assistance if is needed due to a hostile situation. The youth officers are instructed to always be truthful if asked their age. During the compliance checks, the tobacco control officer observes the youth officer enter the store and monitors their actions closely. If a sale occurs, the TCO then documents the details, including the establishment's name, address, date, time, cost of the product, change given, and a description of the clerk. The purchased product is then securely bagged, tagged, and kept in the tobacco control officer's possession until or unless a hearing is requested by the retailer. This approach ensures transparency, accountability, and adherence to legal standards as we work to protect youth in our communities from the harms of tobacco. Today, I'm here to present testimony regarding the sale of a tobacco product to a minor that occurred on January 10th, 2025 at Green Mart. On Friday, January 10th, 2025, at approximately 11:40 a.m., a youth officer entered Green Mart, located at 122 Conway Street in Greenfield, Mass., with a $20 bill and their cell phone. The youth officer was observed entering and exiting the primary entrance to Green Mart from my vehicle, which was located along West Street, facing towards the intersection of Conway Street and West Street. Upon returning to my vehicle, the youth officer reported that they had asked the clerk, an adult male in appearance, for a pack of Newport cigarettes. The clerk did not ask the youth officer for their ID or their age. The clerk sold the youth officer the pack of cigarettes, and the youth officer returned to my vehicle with the cigarettes, their cell phone, and $7 in change. The cost of the pack of cigarettes was $13. At this time, the youth officer provided all information relating to the sale, which was then entered into the post database immediately. The youth described the clerk as wearing a white hooded sweatshirt and as a fair complexioned person. Given that I did not enter the store, I was not able to observe the clerk. The cigarettes were then labeled with the information from the sale, and they've been securely stored since then. Thank you for the opportunity to share all of this information, and I'd welcome any questions that you might have.
No questions.
No
Thank you.
questions. Okay. Meredith, do you need to say anything, or can we get the testimony from Green Mart?
No, I'm all set. I'm just
Okay.
trying to provide any TA that you might need.
Perfect. Then we can ask Green Mart just.
You're welcome to make a statement to come up. Yeah. Okay, so this business was recently transferred under my name. And from that day onwards, I've been like really looking close to the IDs and everything. And even Greenfield Police have confirmed that. They came and told us that you guys have been doing good on the checking IDs and everything. And when I checked the CCTV footage of this date, the guy who was working was a black male who usually he's been working with us for more than 2 years, 3 years now almost. And he wasn't wearing any white hoodie. And during that time, he was talking to one of his friend. He was a old guy, and he was standing right there from between 11 to 12, and I was there at 12, and he left with that guy. So, and he was wearing a brown hoodie, and he left with that brown hoodie on when I checked the footage again. On the same day, in the same time duration. Yeah. I didn't bring the CCTV footage with me yet, but if needed, I can bring that in.
We checked like for whole 1 hour,
We-
just
we
from
checked-
11 to 12,
We
one whole
checked
hour.
within an hour,
We
but I
checked like
checked the
thoroughly
whole
back and
thing
forth. If
from
we made
9
any
onwards
mistakes,
till
because
3.
mistakes happen, and especially the employee. I mean, he's very well trained employee, been here for a long enough time. But I mean, if that things happen on the same day, might be in a different time, we cannot like see that much, because we did run for the whole, and plus he was not wearing the white hoodie. He never wear a white hoodie at all.
He said he's
specific.
never even owned.
So it
a
might be
white
like a
hoodie.
mistake from any side. We're not like saying that that might be possible. It's not like that, but not in that specific period of time. And the dress decor, they mentioned the cashier was not wearing the hoodie, and he's the black African American guy was not a fair complexion guy either. So that was the thing. But on the other thing like that, we requested for the more detail, and plus actually the other reason was they said there's a second violation, and we changed the ownership, and that is not the second. This was.
You did not provide the paperwork that I had asked
No, I
for.
did. I did.
No, I asked for the information that said it was a bona fide sale because you transferred it to your son. You didn't ever give me.
No,
any
never,
of the
not my
paperwork.
son. I didn't
Or-
transfer to my son.
or-
That will be buy from that, the business, the building was
Yes,
sold.
but you need to have in order to be a change in ownership, it has to be a bona fide sale. And I asked you for that paperwork and you never gave it to me. So
No,
we're
I
different
sent, I
than
get the
that.
whole paper, like this kind of paper, like I sent you like last 3 years papers. It's still in the.
No,
table.
I need
can't
I
call
need
them.
the information from the bank that said that it was sold to this person
It's gotta be.
for an official.
The value of the.
No, that was-
Sold for $1, it can't be, it's gotta be.
We
sold for the value
we
of
can
the
get more information from Meredith. She can explain a bona fide sale.
And there was like, okay, so there was the previous owner was Shahid Habib, not us. And the new purchaser is purchased from Rhode Island. He bought it and we are a sublease. We are in the sublease, and it was happened in November. The transition was happening in November. And the documents you require from me, I give you last 3 years, all the license, all the permits, who was the first owner from 3 years in the row, 5 years. And I'll give you all the
How
copies
long
and
have you
one.
been working in the store? How long have you been working in
No,
the
we
store?
just started in November.
How long have you been working in
And
the store?
I've been there for a while, yeah, because I don't manage only this store. I go to, they have a like Shahid Habib, like a 3 different stores. So I manage this store and I manage in Hatley and one in another one.
And so
But-
did you haven't received the,
No, we have not received the bona fide sale paperwork.
okay, so
And
that
this
needs to
is-
be, then.
Yes, right now
We
it's
need to
not.
See that to make sure that it was sold appropriately.
And we did
so-
the same thing like we did in the
No, we-
last tobacco
we
hearing where we
did,
looked up all of the LLCs and things like that, and it just keeps switching
Right, so-
names every 2 years.
Okay, so,
No, 2 years. That was the Westcon LLC since here from 2000, I think, 2017, 19,
I have-
2020.
so.
What is your name?
My name is Yasin.
So you had it in 2022
Which one?
on the LLC, on the business entity.
Let me check.
That's you, right? And I have Samantha Khan.
No, that's not, no. The Feroz LLC, that deal was never happened. That deal was never happened. That would not occurred, that one. So we didn't never have applied license for these names.
But you did apply for the license
no,
for these
we
names. I
don't-
got these off the state website.
No, I get but I never have a tobacco license on this name. We never have a real, because there was a under contract, but they never, the contract never happens. That deal was never happened to end. They never said have sale purchase on Feroz LLC. That's never happened.
I mean,
And so,
these are all.
right, so-
Yes, that
all
never
this-
happened.
All the
The
transactions.
actual
like
things,
all of the
yes. Because these
business
things,
entities.
these things
all
never
the
get
same
completed. So
Right.
that's the problem. These never get completed.
so, and there's been 2 violations.
So all these have been sent to the state, even though they've never been completed?
No, okay, so we acquire the business
Yeah.
and the deal doesn't happen. But before that we start.
And you're still named as the owner of the
No,
business?
no. The actual owner is West Conway LLC, DBA Greenmart Convenience from since 2001 till 2000, like no more 2000, I think 2000 till 2024, November. There's only one person named West Conway LLC, DBA Greenmart Convenience. And the ownership only just changed in November 2024, which switched to, and when I applied for the license for the permit, I clearly mentioned that, and they did give me the permit. They clearly mentioned Greenmart and new owner Samir Khan and plus the LLC and the Khan LLC. Yes,
Yeah.
we clearly apply in November.
Nobody, they
And
just
we-
kind of handed that to our clerk, didn't?
And
it
then
was a
they
new- we didn't
issue us,
have a-
they issue us a sale tobacco license. They issue us the food establishment license. They issue all the license
Okay.
under the new name.
Right.
So that was the only thing when the violation came up, and they said this is the second violation as for our new ownership get changed. So they're supposed to be, if they consider it's gonna be first violation, not the second one, because the second one have a $2,000 fine and plus suspension of the license. And then I went to her office and she sent me the whole list to provide me the documents, and I provide all the single documents from last 3 years, and she have that in her.
Didn't give me
office.
any of the things that I actually asked for.
I mean, if
The
so-
bona fide sale
They
is
can
what I need.
provide
Yeah,
the
so-
documents for a bona fide sale.
Right, so this is what we'll we'll assume this is the second violation until we get the appropriate documents.
No,
No, but no, listen what I'm saying. Wait, listen what I'm saying.
Explain that.
Until we have the appropriate documents, we're gonna assume that this is
I
the
didn't
second
have the
violation.
documents, this.
I need something from the bank that says that you bought it for a certain, or that you bought it for a
We'll just
certain amount of
transfer it.
money.
So here's the thing.
It's a,
Here's a building. They have the apartments and the store. So here's the new, the previous owner sold the building to the new owner and we are leasing the store. So we
We have some-
previously had the store too, but it was just transferred, not sold to us.
then it's not a bona fide sale.
No, it doesn't
You
come.
can't, the
It's not
license,
true.
tobacco licenses are not transferable.
And so it'll be a second violation unless you can provide us with a bill of sale.
No, she have the bill of sale. I gave you a printout. I gave the bill of sale. Even I have it still on my phone. When I can take a printout for you, I give it last 3 years with the same company name, tobacco license,
Which is-
cigarette license, nicotine flavored
You
license.
just said you're leasing it though.
We start leasing in November. No.
You didn't buy it.
We leasing, yeah.
It's not.
Yes.
So that's not a sale, so just leasing.
So that's why we have, I can.
Talking about leasing the building, we're talking about the actual tobacco permit.
Right. So the actual tobacco permit, we get apply when we win by the new lease agreement. So we apply by our own LLC. Before there was a West Conway.
There's lots of LLCs and there's 3 LLCs.
And they're all done
all
under.
on the same, pretty close to the same dates, within a month off.
Because there
All
was,
with
we was
different
keep
names.
applying because
The same
to
address.
try to get the location adopted, but that never happened. That's why we didn't get the.
Wait, the LLCs are all under the same address.
They're all under the same address,
So
yes.
that.
All right. And so,
That would
and so-
make it the same.
No, but-
and so the first violation, there was a penalty.
Yep, there was a $1,000 fine for the
Okay.
first violation. And there was actually many more, but they would say that it got transferred. So I'm sure if we looked back, actually, I probably can look back and see how many there were on the address in this property. But I know when I got here, I didn't know about the bona fide sale. I
No,
was-
one time that one violation was not even in my store. That would happen in Country Mart on the Main Street and they put that in my
What
record.
about when it was, before, like, right after it switched to Call's Corner?
That was 3 years ago. We already discussed that was not in our thing. That was 3 years ago. That violation was 3 years ago, not in
Who
36.
was managing the store?
Shahid Habib.
He was actually in the store managing at that
Yeah,
point.
Shahid Habib have this store since 2019 till 2024.
But there's somebody else's name on it after.
That never happened. That business
But
never
at the same
occurred.
time, we're not talking about previous, we're just talking about the last.
Yeah, the current. My request,
Yeah, let's tell Meredith. Meredith, can you go ahead and explain a bona fide sale and what paperwork we would actually need if we were going to transfer it?
So you can't transfer the permit. There actually has to be a bona fide purchaser, someone who exchanged value for the property. And so I think what I'm hearing, because there's a lot of conversations happening at once, that there wasn't a sale of the property itself, but there was a sale of the business. So if there was a sale of business, that would be how much the business would be assessed at, maybe $200,000. So you could request for the bank statements for the sale of the business. If it was a sale of the business and the property, then that would be a much greater amount of money. But DPH, Massachusetts Department of Public Health, has come out with an amazing guidance document that talks about all the different types of documentation that you can ask for the board to make a decision on whether or not this is really a legitimate bona fide sale or not. Because unfortunately, because of past practices, when store owners are at their second violation, they transfer or sell the business to someone who is a family member or create another LLC. So there really isn't this transaction happening in order to avoid the fine and the suspension period. So that's why we've really had to define, which you guys did in your amended regulations. So I commend you on that. But in addition to, like I said, MDPH has come out with some great documentation that you can require to see if there was actually a legitimate sale. So clearly, like a purchase and sale agreement is one of the documents you could request. What is the value of the store, the assessment, was there a bank transfer? If there were any other state licenses, like the Department of Revenue, they would have had to have a new Department of Revenue to sell tobacco and electronic nicotine. They would need that in the new store owner's name. Lottery, if they sell lottery, that would be a state license. Liquor would be a state license. You could ask for copies of that. You could ask for a copy of the lease and the lease agreement. What else could you do? So I have a whole document that I think I've shared with Meg before,
Yeah.
but it's clearly also defined in your regulation what that looks like as well. So when a tobacco permit holder is sold a business or the board may want to ensure that the sale is legitimate and transfer resulting into new ownership. This should avoid sham sales aiming to avoid fines or other penalties. No permits should be issued or transferred unless or until all outstanding penalties and suspensions incurred by the previous permit holder are satisfied in full. So with that even being said, the fine and the suspension period should have been served prior to the sale, which I'm under the understanding that Meg had provided all of that information to the business owner. This has been going on since January. So they were given plenty of opportunity to provide the documentation to the board or the health department. So.
Yes, I have a question. I provide all the documents and there is no family transaction in this time. The last time the building was sold in October 2024, there was a completely two different owners and completely two different purchaser, owner and purchaser. The seller and the purchaser were completely different. They're not related to each other. Yes, my son, we just leased the business for the new owner and we have obtained all the state licenses, the town licenses with our green. We keep the DBA same name, the Green Mart, but LLC is get changed. So that's why they make it some complicated. Since 2000, this name has been established, Green Mart Convenience. Before it was called Stoneborough. So that's why we never changed the DBA. So that's make complication. And the previous, they're showing me the previous documents, that deal never happened before. So that's why we did apply for the homework. Whenever you buy a business, you start doing your homework, you apply your license and everything, but that deal never occurred. And then somebody else, the guy who bought the store right now, the building, the whole building, he's from Rhode Island. He's a resident in Rhode Island. So he's a completely new owner and we're leasing a sublease from the new owner with the new entity name Khan LLC. And I obtained all the state licenses. I obtained all the local licenses. We have all that separate. There's no connection with the previous owners or the owner before. There were no blood relation. There's no relationship at all. So these are completely new entity. And so that's why the previous violation was on the West Conway LLC, the first violation. So this is the second they're considering, but we're requesting this is the first violation. If we cut that violation, it's going to be a first violation for the new name, for the new
So here's the deal,
ownership.
if you can show that the business was sold. And no, listen,
Yes,
if you can give us documentation
Yes,
that for a fair market rate,
Yes.
the business was sold,
yes,
that the lottery and your alcohol
Yes.
licenses
Yes.
were also transferred?
yes,
to
yes,
Sudan?
yes. I provide all these documents, or everything is in her hand.
You-
office.
Yeah,
No, he
with
did
those
not,
sales.
he did not give me
We
a.
sent a whole file. It was it was this big.
I can provide you again.
After we received a letter that you guys need some documents,
We provide and
You
still I
it was
have
like
it.
this big.
Never
And
gave
we
me
send it out.
bona fide sale paper, like a
I
paperwork.
still have in my phone as well from
And if you
the.
look at these, like this was in 2017, it was Khan Saeed, then it was Khan's LLC in 2022, then
So wait,
2024,
so
like,
rather than doing this, but let's,
I'm like.
I hear this, okay, wait,
crazy.
hold on, just one second. So we're gonna assume that this is the second violation.
Okay,
We can, what? Okay, so,
I mean, I would say, so there's two things. So I would say, because I didn't see any paperwork from this.
right,
I didn't see any purchase sale agreement. I didn't see a new lease.
Right.
Those are the things I want to see. I
Right.
want to see, the purchase and sale agreement with a price,
Right.
a reasonable price, not, we bought it for $1.
right, so market value.
So something market value. I'd like to see a lease,
Excuse me,
new Department of
Yeah.
Revenue paperwork.
excuse me. Could I be recognized, Chair?
And who are you?
Stephanie Duclos. This is
Sorry,
a public
Stephanie,
hearing, right?
We're not doing
No,
public
this is a
comment
public
at the
hearing,
moment.
right?
I'm sorry.
No, it's a public hearing and I'd like a moment to,
You can
ask
after,
if the
after you're
city
done.
has
Yes,
a
after the
as a
discussion.
legal
So we
representative,
will-
No,
does
she
the
can
city
after.
of Greenfield have a lawyer that is present representing the interest of the city in this hearing? Because I heard some legal advice, but I'm not sure who gave it, and I'm not sure if they're representing this.
So wait, there's gonna be public comment on
There,
this.
yes, there can be
And-
public comment after,
Yeah.
after you guys do your thing, then there can be public comment, but there's no back and forth.
Yeah, there's no public
Yeah.
comment.
Remember how we
while we're
said
actually
minutes?
discussing
Yes.
the issue.
So then, like I said, so the thing I would be looking for is a lease, purchase and sale agreement. I believe I did see the Department of Revenue one that's already under his son, so
Yes.
let's get a copy of that.
Okay.
So that would be your first thing. We get that paperwork, it matches up with a bona fide sale. Then you can vote on probably the next meeting if you want to take it,
Right.
just the first
Yeah.
offense.
So let's,
So I think the thing that you would discuss tonight, right now, is did this sale happen on January 10th? Did a minor walk in there and walk out with cigarettes? From Ryan's statement, I would say that the cigarettes came out of the store from an underage girl.
right,
That's kind of your debate now. Did that happen? Whether it was one person or another person, it really doesn't matter.
Right.
Did the cigarettes come out of that store?
Yes.
You know,
I agree
from an
with that.
underage buy.
I agree with that, yeah.
So if that happened, that would be your next thing.
Right.
And then we can totally table.
And
violation.
also just request for the ownership, I would say that.
Yes, then you can bring us that stuff in between the next meeting.
Yeah,
We can
yes.
meet on it, table it to the next meeting and meet on it.
And I can bring the documents here so everybody can see the.
And that's fine, yeah. I mean, like I said,
I feel like this kind of big figure, last 4 years record I provide.
But it'd be nice if you don't
Send
get them.
Send it to email so that we can send it
Yeah.
to Meredith and our attorney.
yeah,
Yeah.
and not all the information, just the information that we're requesting. Not, okay, so you just need bill of sales, and we need,
Yeah, so we can do.
I'll email you the list.
We'll email you the
Yeah.
list after.
Yeah, yeah,
this,
okay.
Just to make sure you have exactly what we're looking.
so,
Okay.
okay, so at this point,
So
So
just-
the only
At this
request,
point, I would just table
Yeah.
the violation, is it
Right.
one or two?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just vote on did it happen?
But before vote, then we have to do public comment.
so, let's go close it. That's right.
No, it's okay to open public comment now and then we'll close the hearing. And
Right,
remember,
and then-
public comment, like this portion of it, it's not a back and forth.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
Yeah, it's not-
so we're gonna open public comment. Please identify yourself. I want to reiterate that it's gonna be a 2-minute time limit. At the 2-minute point, we'll mute the mic and we'll move on to the next speaker. And this will not be a conversation. There won't be questions answered. So,
Okay.
yeah, I see
Um,
Jimmy's. So please state.
It's Stephanie Duclos, Chapman Street. I'm concerned about some of the items that were being spoken about, and it borderlines some defamation. Don't believe that the legal interpretation of statute is within the purview of anyone that's not holding a real estate license on that board. I would caution protecting the city's interest in a potential lawsuit of some kind if this particular owner's rights were violated. It seems to be a repeated occurrence. It seems to me like it's entrapment, quite frankly, but there seems to be a desire to take tobacco off the streets, and it's not going to just be for minors. It'll be for the homeless. It'll be for the disenfranchised that have to walk to these establishments. And I'm not quite sure what the mission is behind it. I know you're trying to take it out of children's hands, but it clearly hasn't worked for many, many years because there's still a desire to smoke, whatever that is. I'm also concerned that there might be a language barrier, and if there were a language barrier for these particular owners, that an attorney or interpreter be offered to them so they're fully understood as to, what. Thank you.
Other comments?
Okay,
All right.
and you
So
can
we'll-
make a motion to close the
Yeah,
hearing.
so I'm gonna make a motion to close the hearing.
Second,
Okay, vote.
close.
Hearing is closed. Right, so,
What's his name said? Dude legally said they fucking did some shady.
so make a motion so we're.
So you
make a
can
motion to-
table the violation number.
Right.
So that's what we're,
Do we make a motion to close the hearing part first?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
Okay.
made a motion to- yeah, and so then so I guess we
I would
we
make-
accept the evidence from the tobacco board.
Yeah, I would first start with, I would make a motion to either accept or deny that the violation occurred on January 10th.
So that's-
I'll make a motion to accept the violation because that's coming from the tobacco board and I've got to use them as
Second that.
my
All
witness.
right, we'll vote. All right, motion passes. All right, and then I'll make a motion to table the violation, which would be the second violation, until next meeting.
On receipt of paperwork that shows a bona fide service.
Proceed and review, yeah, exactly. And so at that point, we'll revisit this. After we, okay. All right,
Second,
all right, vote.
yep,
Motion passes.
Yeah.
All right,
And now we can make a motion to continue on with the regular Board of Health
all
meeting.
right, so we make a motion to continue the. Board of Health.
second the motion.
Right, vote.
I vote.
Motion passes. Right, so. And,
Thank you, everybody.
yeah, so we'll send you the information.
Yes, yes.
Required by email, so we're all on the same page.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, sir. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you. All right, so.
Agenda, let's see.
Nursing
Nursing
update.
update, that's me.
Okay, so nursing update.
So there's not much going on. I have been so busy with, budget reporting and things like that. I have done not very much community outreach
Okay.
since the last meeting. So really not much, but we do have one cluster of COVID that came in today at a local medical facility. And there's 4 people there, 3 patients, 1 staff. So that just came in today. Otherwise, COVID has been super low.
Yeah.
Our wastewater has been the lowest it has ever been
Well,
the last 2 weeks.
okay.
So we're hoping that that'll stay, but with graduations and things like that, as we normally see from the past.
Big
it's gonna
gatherings.
Go back up again, especially since we just got those 4 that came in this
Right,
morning. I did purchase a lot of supplies and things like that so that we can continue some of our equity programs, like our menstrual equity program and things like that. Because we are afraid that federal funding will go
Right.
away soon, so we did as much as we could before we might lose our funding.
And so, and explain more of the equity programs.
So one of them, the biggest one that I do is menstrual equity. There's some bills that are trying to get passed so that they would provide free menstrual products for
Awesome.
jails, schools, and homeless shelters, and have it be mandated, and public buildings.
Okay, that's great.
So I ended up working with all of our schools and putting products in all of the schools. I have been supplying them for the last 3 years now. And we've had enough funding to do that, and hopefully we still
Hopefully you
can.
still can.
Yeah, and I've gone down to even things like Diva cups. So I went
Yeah.
down to where I'm not sure what it's called, but over by Energy Park where
Oh,
they have
yeah.
Tapestry goes there and there's a Suboxone clinic.
Yeah.
So I set up a table and gave out free menstrual underwear because I was thinking if it's unhoused, if
Right.
people are unhoused or menstrual underwear might be better than having to have tampons that you're throwing away.
Right.
Diva cups, and I did some training on Diva cups.
Yeah.
I have plenty of them to give out to people when they need them.
Right.
I have those on my shelf at the office too. We just worked with GCC and the nursing program there, and Robin, I went out and did some of the same things, handing out menstrual underwear and doing more Diva cup training
Awesome.
for community.
That's great.
Then we also have some programs where we have diapers and things like that. When people are in desperate need. So if there's a change in SNAP benefits and, well, SNAP doesn't cover diapers. Domestic violence, things like that. We have things like that we can give out on a individual basis. We also have new mom and baby bags that we can give out. And those are for all of our, all of the VHRC towns where we do it.
Okay. That's great.
My stuff, okay. So yeah, speaking of the VHRC towns, we have been covering some stuff in Leverett and Sunderland while the inspector's out. So I've been doing some of their septic work over there and inspections for them to keep coverage over there while he is gone for the summer. Megan has helped me too with some of the housing requests that we've had over there. Housing's been steady. Still get normal housing complaints just every couple days I get a housing complaint or so. It's springtime too, so people are moving in and out, so we get a couple of those as well. We're also getting into our pools and camp season. So Megan's been getting a steady flow of our camp booklets that are coming in for the camps that are opening for the summer.
Great.
So we're going through those. Our new inspector, Ori, has been doing food places at a pretty steady pace. So we're starting to get back into regular scheduling with our food places, so that's good. I have some other things that have been coming up, which I will keep in contact with you. I am meeting with a group of people about fireworks over at the fairgrounds, and I will be meeting again on the Lunt project for the cleanup there. We're hoping to get some results from the testing that's going on over there and have a meeting in June. So hopefully I'll have some more info for you on that after our meeting then. Other than that, it's just been pretty steady. We're putting out for our Greenfield inspector, hopefully soon, should be posting online for that inspector position. That's full-time. And then we will be posting for a part-time admin assistant position, which I'm hoping to kind of run from like 12:30 to 5 Tuesday through Friday, just to have office coverage and have somebody in there regularly. Because our other grant admin assistant has gone down to about 10 hours a week. So we don't really have any admin assistant help. So me and Megan have kind of been doing that part as well. So it'd be nice to have somebody in the office full time, especially in an office like ours where it's permitting and people come in, they drop things off and, forward facing to the public a lot. So I got to have somebody in there. At least for the better pack. Most of us are there in the morning, so it's good. But later in the day, we're either out doing inspections or other things come up. So it's nice to have somebody in the office. So I'm hoping to hire for that too. So hopefully those two positions will open up soon and I'll have those hired and then we'll have a full staff.
Awesome.
Cool. That'll be good.
Good. All right. Good. All right. Do we have any old business?
I think we had any old business.
Okay. And are we just scheduling next meeting or we?
Schedule now.
Oh,
Yeah, we
and so, wait, we have a new board member.
Oh, yes, we
New
do.
board,
Tomas
Yes.
Riley,
Yes.
who is a senior resident, or just graduated?
Do you know?
He's the intern. Oh,
We're at family, for the family practice.
yeah. Okay,
Great guy.
awesome. And who are you?
I'm Tim Lepre.
Oh.
I'm the medical director.
OBGYN too.
Awesome.
For the board. So I was on call, so I figured I would come.
Awesome, great.
Hello.
Very sweet bugger.
Dr. Lepre was unbelievably helpful when our refugees first came in. We
Yeah.
he really got supplies to where they needed to go and got us supplies. It was fantastic. He also writes all the orders for when we do vaccine clinics and
Oh,
things
cool.
like that.
Okay.
Speaking of old business, maybe I should mention this too, that funding is cut for vaccines too. I'm sure you probably get that down the line. So with our VHRC budget, I did pre-purchase 100 high dose flu shots, which is not going to get very far when you're covering 6 towns, but it's something.
Right.
It's better than nothing.
Yeah.
Better than nothing, but it's it's like $100 a person,
What do
so
we
that's
have
all I
for
had.
COVID?
No COVID shots, nothing. Those are $150
But do we
each.
have any?
None.
No.
COVID vaccines?
Yeah.
No, they're $150 each. There's no way. Flu shots I can get for 19 if they're the regular dose, but the elderly dose is like 65 something. It's ridiculously expensive and
Yeah.
it's okay if we get reimbursed, but it's when we don't get reimbursed that.
Right. Okay. For next meeting or sometime in the future,
Yes.
just ideas. Can I put? So
For
When we were-
towns, let me just look at it. 13.
No, I want to, at some point, I want us to just start to
Get
think
into
about.
some really good stuff.
Well, so like we were at this, at a conference,
Mhm.
and one of the things that came up, which I think that's worth us kicking around, is regulation of cannabis containing foods that are not packaged. Right now, they're not regulated, it turns out.
Mhm.
And so if they have cannabis in them, then they can just, again, they can sell whatever they want, however they want. And this is pizzas or hot dogs or drinks or whatever.
I'd certainly agree. I actually will be meeting with some of the cannabis control commissioners I'm hoping in June about social consumption.
Yeah.
So we're going to be talking about that, and they wanted our opinion on that too, since
Yeah.
we have a lot around here in Greenfield and in the area and the fairgrounds and other stuff going on. So they're meeting with some people from the FERCog and the commissioners, and we're going to be discussing that. But no, I mean, that's going to be coming down the road. So it's better to get ahead of it.
Right.
Because yeah, social consumption and shops selling, like you say, pizza or other things like that are going to be a thing.
So it turns out that if it has cannabis in it, that it's not, it doesn't fall under anything but the Cannabis Control Commission.
Yeah, so the Cannabis Control Commission is kind of been all consuming on cannabis,
Yeah.
but unfortunately, they're very low staffed and
Right.
spread thin. So they control pretty much everything that's happening at a dispensary, but anything that happens outside is kind of out of their purview.
Okay.
Now cannabis, the people, the pot shops themselves have a lot of regulations that they follow, but yes, as far as it goes with private vendors or other things, there's very little to no regulation.
And like if there's any events at the fairgrounds or anything else, people can sell whatever food they want without any oversight.
Yeah, so DPH
I would
has,
imagine, I would have thought it would have had to be from like a dispensary thing with a license.
It's
so
not-
DPH has made the standing that you're not allowed to get a food permit with that, but there's no real backup other than they say don't.
Right.
So it should have teeth or fines. There could be other
Right,
issues
so-
that we could
I
enact.
think that it's worth us kind of starting to kick that around.
Well, especially we do festivals and stuff around here, so.
Right.
Yes, it does become more and more, and we have seen it more and more.
Right.
But yeah, we're certainly looking at that. And like I said, hopefully I'll have some more information after meeting with them about the social consumption and their regulations that they're looking at with that too.
Cool. All right, should we get times?
Yeah, let's look at the calendars. So you can't do the third Wednesday anymore. That's bad, right?
Yeah, so now it's turned into the third one.
So we would.
So the second Wednesday is now open. Yeah,
Oh,
Fourth is
second-
all right. Fourth is okay too.
Okay,
All right, so we have,
You can do the 11th or the.
yeah, so 11th or 25th.
let's try to, well, the 11th is only in 2 weeks, but you know what? That'll give him time to do that.
Do you want to do the
The
25th?
bona
though?
fide
Just
sale?
to Give them the most time we might need.
Well, I will be,
Are you?
oh, no, I
Are
will
you
be
back
here
at-
that day. I'm leaving the day after.
The 25th?
I will be here the
Okay.
25th.
Okay,
You want to do the 25th?
yeah, I'm just not at the.
Okay, and then I'll put a backup in case Dr. Riley can't do it as the 11th.
Okay.
So 25th at 6:30.
Okay.
11, yeah. And I will find out tomorrow. I'll ask him tomorrow if he's available so that we can lock up that day. If we-
Beautiful. Where's he now?
He's in Ireland.
All right, good for him.
Yeah. And I just need a motion to adjourn.
All right, so motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, opposed?
Yep.
Adjourn.